Morning. How are you?
Morning, we're great.
Excellent.
We're great.
But I'm imagining we're not as well as you this morning, mate. I mean, you're going into the game optimistic, but could you really foresee that result in that performance?
Not when Gundogan skied the penalty. It was just like, not again. Can't believe we've missed 3 in a row there now. And kind of feared the worst. But the boss changed it at half-time, and it was a different story second half. We were great. Really great. Just a pity none of us would actually be able to be there. It was beyond the wildest dreams, I think.
Do you feel now, I mean, it is early to say it, but the amount of daylight you've got at the top of the league at the moment, and a goal and a game in hand as well, do you feel like it's yours this season?
I think that if we win the game and under 13 points over Liverpool, it'll be too much for them. But we've got a real brutal run of games coming up, so I think we will drop points. But the other teams now, United are sneaky, but they've got to be perfect. Liverpool, forget them. So I just think it's about how they manage it now going through February.
I was going to say, you mentioned Gundogan there. I've got to say, I can't tell you how impressed I've been with him, because obviously losing De Bruyne, would be a massive loss to any team, arguably the best player, midfield player in the country. But he's come in and he's taken a bit of responsibility. I know he missed the penalty, that can happen to anybody. But overall, his performances and his goals have been fantastic, eh?
Well, it's a funny thing with City, right? It's because, KDB is one of the best players in the world, hands down. But when he's not in the team, it frees up Gundogan and Bernardo Silva. We're about to see Silva have another great season here, because he plays every week. He plays in the middle where he belongs. And him and Gundogan, when we won the league by 19 points, or whatever it was, when we got the 100 points, De Bruyne was out for most of that season. And we just become, because the system is so perfect, you can take players like Aguero and De Bruyne out, and the team is so strong that it has virtually no effect on us.
I want to talk about the centre-back partnership at the moment, because Diaz has just been brilliant since he's come in. Stones looks like a completely new player, completely reborn. There was quite a funny moment last night as well, a free kick and the wall were lining up, and Diaz literally lifted up Zinchenko, who was lying on the floor to stop the low ball, lifted him up by his head and shuffled him along a little bit. Did you notice that?
I did, yeah, it was funny. But those two centre-back are pretty astonishing. I mean, if you think that Diaz is not even going to start his run to his peak years for about another 3 years, that's actually frightening. He's what 23 or something, and then I'm sure we'll get to Phil in a bit. Phil Foden ain't going to even start peaking for about another 6 years. So we've got two, colossal players there. Colossal players.
I was going to say to you, mate, and I'm dying to go into Phil, but I want to wait a wee minute. I think you're right. I spoke about Gundogan there, Noel, but the partnership at the back between Stones and Diaz is just I think it's taking City to another level, because everybody, all the pundits would say, yeah, brilliant, but they'll maybe lose a goal here, centre defence, this, that and the next thing. And what a job. But Stones comes back in and he just looks like an absolute new player. It's been brilliant.
Well, I've always said we were all praying Stones didn't leave a couple of seasons ago, because he would have gone to a club where they wouldn't have played like City, and he would have gone on to be, the great defender that he is. But, when John was playing with Vinny made him look great, right? And now we found another company in Diaz. Diaz has raised the level of all around him, which is what you need. I mean, for all City's attacking flair and all that, and Liverpool's, if you don't have a great centre half, that elevates everybody around them, you're not going to win out.
No, how good is Phil Foden?
Well, I mean, you lot, the pundits have been crying out for him to be starting for England for the last 2 years, and you got to give Guardiola credit here. He's just he's just brought him on nice and easy, and he's just, every time he plays now, he's affecting the game. He's amazing little kid.
I've got to say, it must have been like, I know we're all wanting to get games and more game time and all that stuff, and I agree with you, Guardiola's handled it brilliantly, and people were saying, well, he should go here and loan, he should go there, get some games. But what an education he must have had going into training with those boys every day, just soak up everything from David Silva and boys like that. I mean, and clearly he's been doing that, because I said this morning, I come on at 6 o'clock, mate, and I don't do it very often. When that goal went in, I actually went, wow. And that's what he's got. He's got the wow factor.
Yeah, he's I memean, his game yesterday was 10 out of 10, and the goal was unbelievable. But the way that he set up Gundogan for he danced around two defenders at the byline. He's 20 years old, man. It's freakish. But we've got an absolute £200 million player there, easy.
I was listening, actually. Micah Richards was saying in the studio, he's like Pirlo and Iniesta. Someone tweeted in earlier on saying if he continues in the way that he is, he reminds me a little bit of Gaza. There's so many comparisons that, like you say, he's so young, isn't he? And you almost feel like having Pep Guardiola there is almost the perfect mentor to keep his feet on the ground and like you say, ease him into it.
Well, absolutely. You never. This is the one thing about Guardiola. You never hear any noise around the players when they're not playing. Like Bernardo Silva, he's in and out of the team. He's not a regular starter. He never moans, never complains. There's no agent saying he's going to leave here and there. And then when he gets his chance, he's going to be astonishing now for the next couple of months, I promise you. And Guardiola is not only is he a great coach, he's a great man manager as well. You can just see it in the players how they kind of respond to him and respond to his tactics. Amazing, dude.
No, I want to ask you, mate, all this is being done and achieved, in my opinion, without an out-and-out centre-forward type goal scorer, which is absolutely remarkable. Absolutely remarkable. And Aguero, when he's fit, gets in any team on the planet for me. I think he's one of the best. But, how do you see it? Do you see Aguero getting offered a new contract? And if he doesn't, who would you like to come in and see as City's number 9 moving forward?
I think he'll probably leave. He wouldn't want to sit out the last couple of seasons of his life on the bench because City need to buy a world-class centre forward. If it was my money, I'd be going for Haaland.
Yeah.
There's a thought.
Can you imagine? It'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there's talk of Keane, but he's kind of the wrong age for what City want. But Haaland is. He's kind of young. He's a bulldozer. I think City do a lot worse than get him. But maybe that's not the time because there's still the rumours of Messi coming. So who knows?
Natural connection as well with his dad. I wanted to ask you your thoughts on Roy Keane. Obviously, the wrong side of Manchester to you, but the comments that he made last night in the studio was pretty scathing about Jurgen Klopp and what he calls the excuses that he's coming up with. And he said, it's been a really poor title defence. What did you make of that?
Well, he's only saying what the rest of the country have been thinking. All I've heard for the last 48 hours is how, Liverpool have been the best team in England for the last 4 years, so it was inevitable. And I was thinking, well, they must have won a barrel load of trophies then, because I can only count one. So presumably you're saying that City have been the second best team in the league for the last 4 years, and I lost count after the 6 trophies we won. I didn't bother counting after that. So I don't know where all this nonsense has come from, but Liverpool are going to have to go some way to be worse champions than we were in the 60s when we won it one year and got relegated the next. So,
I think they'll just about stay up.
I think, they've not invested. It's like you've got to. All the great managers have always said when you win, that's the end of something. It's not the beginning of something. Do you know what I mean? You've got to go again, and it's hard to retain those titles. I never thought I'd see City win a title, far less back-to-back titles. And but I think that Liverpool team, their best years were spent getting there, and now they're there. I think they're done.
Interesting. I want to ask you, the $6 million question. What's going to make City win the Champions League?
Just a bit of luck. I think the draw, and a bit of luck, but I think every year we could do it this year. And I thought if we hadn't have been interrupted last year with COVID, when we left Madrid and we won that game, we had the momentum, and then it all came to a halt. I thought that might have been our year, but we've got a good defence now this year, so anything can happen. It'd be great if it was this year.
Yeah, well.
No, I've got to do the fans a favour, really, and just ask you a little bit about music. I saw you once at Isle of Wight Festival, I think it was. It was definitely on the Isle of Wight. It was either that or Festival with High Flying Birds, and it was brilliant. And I think a lot of us just want to know what's happening at the moment. Have you got any plans for the future? Obviously, it's a strange world at the moment, but are you writing? What's happening?
Plans? There are no plans. There's nothing going on. The music business is dead. The world is dead. It's dead. I'm staring out the window, counting the snowflakes blowing the plasters, thinking, well, no, but I'm writing for what ends we don't know yet. You know, it's just like everybody. You know, everybody's work is up in the air, and I'm just waiting for the call for somebody to say, "Oh, you'll never guess what. I think we might be able to go on tour," and then I'll be out the door like a whippet.